She was mid-sentence when I did it. I don't even remember what she was saying. Something about the gallery, or the deadline, or the colors on some piece I'll never see. But her tone was different. Too soft. Too musical. That tone she reserves for things that make her knees warm. She was laughing. No, not laughing, singing. Like her voice was a song only one person was meant to hear. And that person wasn't me. I stepped into the room. Quiet. Careful. I didn't say a word. The ring in my hand was warmer than I expected. I had clenched it so hard in my fist it left an imprint in my skin. My knuckles were white. She didn't see me. Her back was turned. She was barefoot, wearing the robe I got her last Christmas, the one with the frayed sleeve she always said made her feel like a poet's widow. The fork was still in her hand, midair, spearing a bite of grapefruit that never reached her mouth. I walked up behind her and set the ring next to her phone. Not slammed. Not tossed. Just placed. Gently. That little gold band, just laying there on the marble like it was the last piece of evidence at a crime scene. She didn't notice right away. She was too lost in him. 15 seconds of nothing. I stepped back. Just 2 steps. Enough to make myself invisible. Her voice kept going. She laughed again. A short, breathy laugh I hadn't heard in months. The kind of laugh people have when they forget they're being watched. She tucked her hair behind her ear like she was on a date, not a Tuesday morning FaceTime in the kitchen. Then her eyes flicked down. She froze. 15 full seconds passed where nobody said anything. Not her. Not me. Not him. Then she reached out, slow, like in a dream, and touched the ring. Not picked it up. Just touched it with one finger, as if to check if it was real. I counted the grapefruit sections. There were 7 slices on the plate. She didn't eat a single one. Just stared at them while the screen of her phone slowly dimmed. I could still see his face, barely. Smiling. Probably wondering what she was looking at. She still didn't say anything. I waited. Still didn't speak. Just watched. I had rehearsed a monologue. One of those heartbreak speeches you hear in movies. But when the moment came, I had nothing. Just the sound of blood rushing behind my ears. What do you say to a ghost? Because that's what she became in that moment. Not a woman. Not a wife. Just a ghost who happened to live in my house and were my gifts. She finally turned. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but no words came. Her eyes met mine, briefly, and all the air left the room. I nodded once. Then I walked out the door. No yelling. No crying. No accusations. No questions. Because the answers were already sitting on that plate. Next to the phone. Next to the fork. Next to the ring. She didn't call after me. Not right away, anyway. I was already halfway down the driveway when I heard the door open behind me. Bare feet on concrete. Not fast. Not chasing. Just following. Like she didn't want to stop me. Just wanted to see if I'd look back. I didn't. I wish I could say I was being noble, making some kind of statement. Truth is, I didn't trust myself to turn around. I was terrified I'd see her crying. Or worse, not crying. Just standing there, confused, like I was the one being unreasonable. I opened the driver's side door and sat down. Didn't start the car. Just sat there with my hands on the wheel, like some idiot whose life just got sucker punched and doesn't know whether to drive to a motel or his mother's house or off a bridge. That's when she spoke. Not loudly. Not with urgency. Just one sentence, floated into the air like it weighed nothing at all. Carlisle, wait. And no, I didn't turn around. But my hands clenched the steering wheel so hard I heard the plastic creak. She hadn't said my name in weeks. Not like that. Not gently. It sounded foreign in her mouth now. Like something she'd borrowed from someone else's memory. For a few seconds, we both just breathed. Her outside the car. Me inside, drowning in the silence between us. Then she added something. Quiet. Almost afraid of the words as they came out. It's not what you think. That line. That line. I laughed. Out loud. It surprised even me. I wasn't trying to. It just escaped like pressure from a crack in a dam. She heard it. I know she did. But she didn't respond. And that silence, that awkward, heavy silence, was the most honest thing we'd shared in months. I finally turned to look at her. She was still wearing the robe. Still barefoot. But she was holding the ring now, turning it slowly between her fingers like she was trying to remember what it meant. Or pretending she ever really knew. She didn't look angry. She didn't look ashamed. She just looked incomplete. Like someone who had expected a different ending to this scene and didn't know what to do with the version that showed up. I could see her phone still sitting on the table behind her through the front window. Screen dark now. Conversation over. Did he hang up? Was he still watching? Honestly, I hoped he was. Let him see what his name costs. I opened the car door again. Slowly. Not to argue. Not to plead. Just to say what I needed to say while I still had the spine to say it. I didn't leave the ring there so you'd feel guilty, I said, standing up. She looked up. I left it there so you'd have to choose. My voice cracked at the word. So you'd finally have to say it out loud, whatever this is. Whatever he is. She didn't answer right away. She just stared at the ring again. Then she finally asked, "Did you listen to my calls?" That broke me more than any confession ever could have. That was her first question. Not "I'm sorry." Not "please let me explain." Not even "it was a mistake." Just suspicion. As if her privacy was the real crime here. I didn't yell. Didn't curse. All I said was, "You used to tell me everything. Now I find out you laugh different when he's on the line." She blinked. I waited for her to deny it. To tell me I was wrong. To grab my hand or scream or anything. Instead, she just whispered, "I didn't mean to disappear from us." Whatever the hell that meant. She started to cry, finally. Not loud sobs. Just a single tear, like she was auditioning for the role of remorseful wife and didn't want to overact. And still, after all that, some weak part of me wanted to hold her. To tell her it was okay. To ask what I did wrong. But I didn't. I got back in the car. This time, I drove away. She stood there the whole time. Ring in her hand. Phone still buzzing with messages from someone who wasn't me. I didn't go far. Just parked 3 streets over in front of some stranger's house and sat there until my legs went numb. My phone buzzed 4 times. Once from my brother, twice from my calendar app, and once from her. I didn't open the message. I just stared at the screen like it might catch fire if I touched it. What was there to say? She cried. I left. The ring stayed in her hand. And I still couldn't breathe right. I kept thinking about the way she whispered that stupid sentence. I didn't mean to disappear from us. Like we were a country she'd drifted out of without a passport. I know I should have driven to a hotel. Or maybe a bar. Or therapy. But instead, I opened my email. I know, ridiculous. But I didn't want to sit in silence anymore. And checking unread mail felt like something a functional person would do. And that's where I saw it. An invoice. From a print studio in Portland. Subject line. Proof set for Lucas and Saul Vega. 40 by 60 metallic print. Unframed. I opened it. For photos. Black and white. Moody lighting. Close-ups of faces I didn't recognize right away. But I knew the nose. I knew the jawline. I knew the scar above his left eyebrow. Because I had cleaned it once, when he tripped drunk in our backyard 4 years ago. Lucas. My friend. He was in our wedding photos. He held the microphone at our rehearsal dinner. He once helped me move a mattress in the rain without asking why. That's who it was. Him. I sat there gripping the steering wheel so hard my hands started to shake. He was always too charming. Too casual with her. Always calling her Sola, like he'd invented the nickname. But I never suspected. Never even considered it. Because that's how betrayal works. It's not just the person sleeping beside you. It's the ones who already know your alarm code. The ones you let in without question. That's what gutted me the most. He was already inside my house. He didn't even have to knock. It was nearly 2 a.m. when I went back to the house. Not because I had forgiven her. Not even because I missed her. I just didn't know where else to be. Everything in the city felt like it belonged to people who had it together. Couples walking out of diners. Dog walkers with matching hoodies. Even gas stations felt too well lit for someone like me. Someone cracked wide open and leaking out the sides. So I went back. I parked 2 houses down. Sat in the car for maybe 20 minutes, trying to tell myself this wasn't weakness. It was curiosity. Closure. Something noble. Her light was still on. The kitchen light. The same one we used to leave on so the house wouldn't feel lonely. That was her phrase. I remember the first time she said it. I laughed. Then I caught her face, completely serious. She said houses absorb loneliness, and you can feel it if you walk in after dark with all the lights off. I should have known then. She always cared more about the atmosphere than the people in it. I unlocked the door quietly. Didn't expect it to still work, honestly. She wasn't in the kitchen anymore. Just a half-drunk glass of water and one of those herbal sleep supplements sitting out. Her phone was gone. The ring too. I don't know what I was looking for, but I checked everything. Mail pile. Her coat pockets. The inside of the microwave. Like grief made me feral. Then I saw it. The fridge. More specifically, the magnet. It was one of those touristy things she bought in Italy, shaped like a red Vespa. and under it, a folded-up piece of thick paper. I wouldn't have noticed it if it wasn't slightly crooked. Solvega never places magnets crooked, so I pulled the paper out. At first, I didn't even process what I was holding. It was a reservation slip. Handwritten. Stamped. From a boutique hotel in Florence. Dates, 3 weeks from now. Room, 1 king bed. Guests, L, S, and S, V. Lucas S, Solvega V. I read it twice. Then a third time. Not a receipt. A future reservation. So this wasn't over. This wasn't a fling. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't her feeling neglected and falling into someone's arms during a hard season. This was a plan. My legs buckled. I sat on the floor. I felt stupid. Like world-class, award-winning, champagne-popping stupid. And not just for trusting her, but for trusting us. For believing that the version of her I loved still existed under the one smiling into FaceTimes and booking European getaways with men who used to sleep on our couch. That hotel name burned into my memory. I took a photo of the slip, put it back exactly where I found it, closed the fridge, straightened the magnet. Let her believe I still didn't know. Let her keep lying, even now. I wanted to see how far she'd go. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table like it was any other Tuesday. Same robe, same mug, same view of the wilting basil plant she kept forgetting to water. The only difference now was the pressure in my chest. It felt like someone had tied a thick rope around my ribs in my sleep and started pulling, slow and steady. She walked in barefoot, hair wet from the shower, humming something under her breath in that soft, sleepy voice she used when she didn't know I was listening. She saw me sitting there, raised her eyebrows like I was some sort of surprise. "You're up early," she said casually, like she hadn't cried in a driveway 12 hours ago. I looked at her and forced something between a smile and a shrug. "Couldn't sleep." She nodded. "No follow-up." "No, do you want to talk?" Just turned to fill the kettle. "Want some tea?" she asked. That was the moment. That was the one that did it. Not the hidden hotel booking. Not the FaceTime calls with my friend. Not even the tears that meant too little, too late. No, it was the way she offered me tea like nothing was burning. Like we weren't sitting in the ashes of something she struck the match to. I told her no. She made hers with honey and lemon and sat across from me like everything was fine. Like there wasn't a European affair typed in pen and ink behind the Vespa magnet I left untouched. We talked about weather, groceries, Miller's vet appointment. She mentioned a gallery opening this weekend, asked if I wanted to come. I said I might. She smiled. I watched her lips when she sipped. I noticed she wasn't wearing the ring anymore. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't even pretend to look guilty. I spent the next 3 days pretending everything was okay. I told her I loved the pasta she made. I kissed her goodnight. I complimented a painting she was working on. One I now recognized was styled like the black and white photos she had taken with Lucas. Same shadows. Same intimacy. I wondered if he knew she was using our house to channel whatever they had. Each moment felt like acting in a scene I didn't audition for. And yet, somehow, I knew every line. I didn't tell her I found the reservation. I didn't tell her I knew who it was with. I didn't even mention that I noticed she now kept her phone face down. Instead, I started keeping notes. Tiny ones. Details. Times she disappeared for errands. New numbers in her call log. A note left in her sketchbook, written in a language I couldn't read, but signed with an initial I now hated. It wasn't revenge. I didn't even know what it was yet. Just something to keep me upright. A quiet record of the lies she kept telling with her eyes and her soft hands and her honey-sweet tea. Because the way I saw it, if she was going to play pretend, then so was I. Only one of us knew it was a game now. I wasn't planning to talk to anyone. For days, I kept it all inside. The reservation slip, the silence, the ring she never mentioned again. I told myself it was better this way. Cleaner. No one needed to know how deeply I was unraveling. How pathetic I felt walking through my own house like a polite ghost. But then I did something reckless. I called Lucas's girlfriend. Or ex-girlfriend. I wasn't even sure anymore. Her name is Marin. She's one of those quiet people you don't notice in a room until they speak, and when they do, you realize they've been watching everything. We'd had dinner with them twice. Solvega always said Marin seemed off. I think that was projection. Anyway, I called her. I still had her number from the group trip we took 2 years ago. Croatia. The 4 of us crammed into a rental car with no air conditioning and a GPS that only spoke German. Back when we were still pretending to be grown-ups. When she answered, She sounded confused. Carlisle. I said her name. Then I said, this is going to sound insane, but I think they're still seeing each other. Solvega and Lucas. There was silence. I thought she hung up. But then, in a voice so steady it made my stomach twist, she said, they never stopped. That's when my hands went cold. She told me everything. Slowly, clearly, like she'd rehearsed it. It started more than a year ago. She found messages. She confronted Lucas. He admitted it, said it was brief, said it was a mistake, said it was over. Marin chose to believe him. She stayed. She wanted to believe they could come back from it. Sound familiar? But then he changed. Grew distant. Secretive. He stopped drawing. He started locking his phone. He stopped touching her unless she initiated it. And she knew. She just didn't want to know. I asked her one question. Why didn't you ever tell me? She laughed, bitter and tired. Because you looked happy, Carlisle. And I didn't want to be the reason you stopped. I couldn't respond. There was nothing to say. She told me Lucas was planning to leave the country. Soon. That he'd applied for a residency in Berlin. That Solvega probably knew. That I should check her passport drawer. That's when it hit me. I didn't even know if Solvega still kept her passport in the drawer. How does that happen? How do you live with someone, eat with them, sleep beside them, and miss that they're planning a whole new life without you? We ended the call quietly. No anger. Just a kind of mutual mourning. Two people who got cheated out of the life they thought they were building. I sat on the floor afterward. Just sat there, staring at my own reflection in the black screen of the TV. I looked like someone I didn't recognize. Pale. Small. Not furious. Not destroyed. Just emptied out. I didn't check the passport drawer that night. I already knew what I'd find. I waited until she left the house. She said she had a studio meeting and kissed me lightly on the cheek like she hadn't burned everything down in silence. She even asked if I wanted anything from the bakery on 8th. I nodded. I think I even smiled. That part still makes me sick. As soon as the door clicked behind her, I went straight to the hallway closet. Third drawer from the bottom. The one with the slightly bent handle she always said she'd fix, but never did. Her so-called travel drawer. The handle stuck. Like the drawer didn't want to open for me. I yanked it anyway. And there it was. Her passport. Sitting on top of a folded scarf and an empty envelope from the Lithuanian consulate. But that's not what stopped me. Underneath the scarf was a notebook. Not one of her sketchbooks. This was small, hardbound, navy blue with a broken elastic band. I didn't recognize it. And that alone made me feel like an intruder in my own house. I didn't recognize something that had been living right under my roof. I hesitated. Told myself it was none of my business. That reading it would make me worse than her. But the thing is, you stop thinking like a good person after a certain point. You stop asking what's right and start grabbing onto anything that feels real, even if it cuts you. So I opened it. The first page was dated 7 months ago. The entry started with, I don't think I love him anymore. I had to sit down, right there on the floor. She wrote it like she was describing the weather. Not cruel, not angry, just factual. The next few pages were worse. Not about Lucas. Not at first. They were about me. About how I had become careful. About how she missed messiness. She wrote that I used to leave paint-stained mugs around the house, and now everything I touched smelled like lemon cleaning spray. She said she felt like a guest in a bed and breakfast where the host was trying too hard. She said I was kind, gentle, predictable, that she felt like she was sleeping beside an apology. Then came his name. Not often. Not romantic. Just scattered mentions. Elle told me about the gallery in Berlin. Elle said something today that I can't stop thinking about. Elle doesn't flinch when I talk about leaving. There was one entry that froze me. He sees the version of me that I think I lost. And Carlisle only sees the one he wants to keep. I closed the notebook. Put it back. Slowly. Quietly. As if it would scream if I slammed it. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry. I just sat there in the hallway with the drawer open and realized something that hurt in a whole new way. This wasn't just about cheating. This was about the quiet death of a version of me she no longer wanted. She didn't want betrayal. She wanted escape. Lucas just gave her the door. And I was the hallway she had to pass through to get there. The day she left, she thought I didn't know. That was the part that amused me most. The way she tiptoed around me for days, eyes wide with pretend innocence, as if her suitcase wasn't hiding beneath the guest bed, already packed. As if the scarf she'd wrapped around her passport was clever. As if I hadn't already memorized the name of the boutique hotel in Florence and the exact date She planned to wake up next to someone who wasn't me. I played my part. I kissed her goodnight. I texted her that I missed her while she was out painting. I bought her favorite shampoo and left it in the shower like some loyal background character in her Great Escape movie. But the whole time, I was building my ending. 3 nights before she left, I had coffee with Marin again. Lucas's ex. We didn't talk about them. Not much. We talked about stupid things, fonts we hated, the smell of old notebooks, how we both secretly hated wine but drank it for the aesthetic. I made her laugh. I hadn't heard laughter like that in my presence for almost a year. It didn't feel romantic. Not yet. It just felt real. Like something I hadn't deserved before, but maybe did now. Back home, I moved quickly. I transferred our joint savings account, the one I managed, the one she forgot she still had access to, into a new one with my name only. I canceled the utilities in her name, switched the locks while she was out, and donated 3 of her expensive coats to a local women's shelter without thinking twice. And then I left one last thing, a manila envelope, sitting on the kitchen table, right next to her tea mug. Inside was a printed photo. One of the gallery portraits she'd posed for with Lucas, blown up and framed on their future website. I'd found it early, before they even made the site public. On the back, I wrote, "You were lost in the conversation, so I left you the ring. Now I'm leaving you the house. All yours, along with the echo." I left the keys beneath the photo, and then I walked out, with nothing but my backpack, my dog, and the kind of silence you earn. 3 days later, I saw it. Lucas had posted an update on his gallery profile. Taking a solo residency in Berlin. Fresh start. Solo exhibitions soon. Solo. Not with Solvega. Not we. Just he. I don't know what happened between them. If she backed out. If he did. If he realized the version of her he loved was only interesting from a distance. That up close, when the fantasy faded, she was just another person who mistook drama for passion. That's her karma, I guess. To be the woman always halfway gone. The artist without a subject. The body in a room full of mirrors, hoping one of them will show her something new. As for me, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Marin and I still talk. Sometimes it's light. Sometimes it's heavy. We don't pretend to be fixed. But we're honest, and that's more than I've had in years. I live in a smaller place now. It's quiet, and the windows fog up in the mornings, and I've started cooking again. Real cooking. I even bought a plant, a basil one. And I water it. Every day.